Hey guys, my name is Tequila and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure you click the subscribe button so that you get updated every time I release new content. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big ol' thumbs up. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to make friends in college. I know some of us out there may be naturally extroverted and just naturally good at just talking to people, communicating, and just making friends easily. But some of us out there, we need a little help, and that's okay. So I'm one of those people. I'm a little bit more introverted, a little bit more shy sometimes, but we don't need to doubt ourselves, even though it's easy to, I guess, kind of blame being shy or being introverted on why we maybe don't have friends or don't have as many friends as we'd like. It's kind of easy to blame that, but we don't need to doubt ourselves. With a few tips and tricks and some self confidence, we can go out there and have the community of friends that we want. Okay, so basically, with this video, I just hope to share just a few little tips I have to hopefully help you gain the community of friends that you want in college. So, tip number one. Okay, so tip number one is a big one, and it is to join school organizations for something that you're interested in. So, statistically speaking, you're more likely to be friends with someone that you're compatible with. That doesn't mean that there could be someone out there who you're complete opposites with and that you won't be friends. Just statistically speaking, you're more likely to be friends with someone that you're a little bit more compatible with. So, an easy way to find people at your college that you're more compatible with is to join school clubs where there's other people who have a common interest. Whether that's joining a ministry on campus because you want to be connected with people who share the same faith as you, being a part of an art club, being a part of a social justice advocacy club, whatever it is, I feel like it's important to figure out what you value and then find other people who value that through being part of an organization or a club on your campus. It's definitely, I feel like, one of the easiest ways to meet people who you'll likely be very compatible with. So, and also make sure that you're intentional about it. I know definitely for me, a lot of the ways that I've met a lot of my really good friends were from those clubs where a lot of us shared a common interest. I've met a lot of really good friends through my ministry and then some of my community service clubs and also my sisterhood that I was in. But make sure that you're intentional about it because I know my first year of university, I wasn't very intentional about it at all. I was like, it's easy to get caught up in what you're going to school for, which is to go to class and do your homework and stuff like that. But it's also nice to have a community of friends. I know a lot of people make really good friends in college who end up being their friends throughout their life. So make sure you take the time to, if you have to do what you have to do, if you have to email people who are in an organization that you're going to be interested in, which I know can be kind of scary, but it's worth it to push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. If you have to go to a club meeting, sit in on them to see if it's something you're interested in. If you have to go to events where they have like a multitude of clubs, like come on campus and talk about their clubs. Just do what you have to do to find a club that you're going to feel like you fit in at. So that's my first tip. Okay. Tip number two was also a really big one for me. I remember when I got to college, I was like, yes, this is the fresh start for me. I want to have like the coolest girl gang. I want to have a great group of friends. But sometimes that does not happen all at once. And I know for me personally, that did not happen all at once. So my next tip for you is to start with one person. I think preferably it would be good to start with one person that you see consistently, maybe with someone in your class. I know that can be a little hard just because class isn't really a casual setting, so you may have difficulty finding time to talk to the person that you see on a regular basis in class, but that can still work as well. Maybe it can be a person who's in the school club that you've become a part of that I was just talking about earlier, where you share a common interest and maybe someone from the ministry that you're a part of on campus or whatever. But my tip for you is to preferably have it to be someone that you can see consistently. So if you're able to see them consistently, whether it's like once or like a few times a week, then you're more likely to be able to talk to them and to really get that friendship going and to build upon it. Because guys, it's nice to believe that all of a sudden we're going to get to college and find our best friend, have an amazing group of friends. But in reality, friendships take time, they take work. It takes time to truly get to know the person, especially if you're a little slower to open up like I am. So find one person, preferably that you see consistently. And really, if you're like me, if you're a fellow Christian, really pray about who the person is supposed to be too. Just ask God, like, I really have a longing to have a really good friend. Show me maybe who that person is, who you'd like me to pursue in that way. So, okay, tip number 3. Okay, I know this one might be hard for some of us out there, but tip number 3 is to force yourself to be social. If you're sitting in your room every day, just going to class, doing homework, watching movies on your phone, it's going to be hard to meet people that way. I know it's tempting just to do that because social anxiety, it's hard to overcome, especially if you are a little socially awkward, like I kind of identify as, or like being amongst a lot of new people that you don't know scares you. But you gotta push yourself to do it. You can do it, my friend. You gotta just push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone and do it. And the great part about it is you're on a university with a lot of people your age, so there's going to be a lot of events out there for you to meet people. Whether it's through, I know the ministry that I'm a part of, they had a lot of weekly events for students, whether it was like a dinner night or like a volleyball night. So really like figure out what your campus is having, like whether it's like going online or like looking at flyers. I know at the school that I go to, a lot of organizations will post like flyers on like our lawn. So really be intentional about like seeking out the different activities and events that you can go to. I know it can be scary, but it's worth it. It can be really hard to go up to a random person that you don't know. But once you find like kind of that one thing that you're kind of like bond over, whether it's like your faith or like sports or whatever, you automatically, I feel a little bit more connected to that person. That person feels like less of a stranger to you. So just remember that beginning is the hardest part, and hopefully it'll get easier from there. So push yourself out of your comfort zone and try to be social and find events that you can attend at your university. Okay, so I'm legit saying like all of these are big ones. Like, oh, this one's a big one, that one's a big one. But this one is a big one too, at least specifically for me personally. And this tip is notice when you draw back from conversations. For the longest time, I never really noticed this in myself until all of a sudden I just kind of did. I remember it was actually my first year in university, and I was sitting with this group of girls. It was actually, it was part of an event for the ministry that I'm with now. And I remember like talking to them. It's actually my first week of university ever. And at first, like we were having like a really good conversation, and then like I sometimes do, and I know this is probably relatable to some of you also out there, I got really in my head. And then before I knew it, I wasn't talking and I drew back. And so I really didn't notice it until someone pointed out, like, oh my gosh, Tequila, like, why aren't you saying anything? Like, everyone was just going on, having a good time, having a great conversation. And then all of a sudden they realized, oh, you're not contributing to the conversation. And they called me out. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, like, no, I'm not. I'm in my head. I'm worried about like if I'm coming off as socially awkward or like what to say next. So I guess like my tip for you is really pay attention to those moments where you start to draw back a little bit more. And I guess this is also maybe the counselor and the mental health advocate in me speaking, but maybe also, and we're going to talk about this actually in our next tip, but try to figure out what's the root of that. Like, what's making you draw back? Is it you're afraid of like how you're coming off? Or like try to maybe explore what the root of that is. And also, like, after you've realized that you have drawn back, try to be intentional and mindful to take yourself back into the conversation. So, yeah, that's my tip for y'all. Okay, this tip. So I know this is going to be a little weird, but we're going to do it together. Okay, so you're going to reach your arms out like this for me. Can you do that? Reach them out like this. Wrap them around your body. And then squeeze and give yourself a big old hug. And you know why? Because my next tip, guys, is at the end of the day, we gotta love ourselves. We have to love ourselves and acknowledge that we're someone that is worth getting to know. And kind of like what I was mentioning previously, a lot of the times after I'd had to do some exploring for myself and really honestly bring that before the Lord, I realized that a lot of the reasons why I was drawing back for conversation is because I didn't really value myself and I didn't value what I had to say sometimes. And so I guess some of this is like a video for another time, but it caused me to not want to speak up in class because I was afraid of sharing my opinion. It caused me to feel really socially awkward and socially uncomfortable in talking to new people and sometimes even people that I knew. And it just caused all of these issues in my life. And when I really took time to think about why, it was because I really didn't value myself fully and value my opinions and value what I had to say. But guys, like I always try to tell you in my little outro, we are all fearfully and wonderfully made, and we have to acknowledge that. We can't let these thoughts that Satan tries to put in our minds, oh, we're not worthy, oh, we're going to say something dumb, oh, this, oh, that. We can't allow those things, and I did this for a very long time, but don't allow those lies, because that's what they are, to influence how you see yourself. Remember to see yourself how God sees yourself. He sees you as fearfully and wonderfully made. He took the time to make your talents, your intelligence, your gifts, your passions. And he doesn't want you just to hold those things back, because that's what I did. That's one of the reasons why I feel also I took so long to start this channel when I felt I desired to do that years ago, because I was afraid of people judging me and what they would say. And really because I didn't value myself to the full extent that I should have. And I probably honestly didn't see myself in God's eyes and how he sees me. So guys, at the end of the day, love yourself, because you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you're going to make somebody a great friend, and you're amazing. You're just an amazing human being, and acknowledge that and allow that to fuel your confidence, especially once you see yourself how God sees you. It's man, how can you not be confident? Man, God really took the time to make all the individual little things about me. So yeah, and I think that's all the tips I have for you. I guess I'll just leave you with this. Make sure you're intentional. Be intentional. Be intentional. Be intentional. Um, seek the people out. Be consistent. I know it can be easy to get caught up in homework and school, and that's what you're there for. Do your homework, go to class, do all those good things. Make sure you try to find some time to get to know people and go to events that you enjoy, and truly try to build the community of friends that you want. I know it may be scary at first, but little by little, you're going to get better and it's going to get easier. So until next time, thank you so much for sticking around with me. I love you guys. If you like this video, make sure you like it. If you know someone, if you're not a college student, but you know someone who can benefit from this, make sure you share this video. And if you like what I'm doing, make sure you subscribe. And until next time, remember that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I love you guys.